y'all. Welcome to Recollections May Vary, a royal recap. I'm here with Kevin O'Sullivan. You watch us together on the amazing Political Asylum with Kevin O'Sullivan twice a week on Talk. Kev, um, you've asked me a couple of times over the last few weeks that we've been back to work, what's going on with Harry? And I keep saying to you, lots and lots of stories predicting problems, divorce between the Sussexes. So I pulled some of those stories for you because some of the quotes are just too good. Before I get into some of the quotes, what's your reaction there? Because you've said Meghan will never step foot back in the UK. And that's really the theme of the issues at the heart of these stories, that Harry longs to go back home. Harry misses his old life. And Meghan's like, never again. I have jam to sell. It's very important.
Exactly. I think this is coming to a head, a crescendo. Harry clearly, I keep asking you, don't I, when I interview you, Kinsey, I say, so, we speak for 40 minutes about Meghan, and I say, so what's going on with Harry then? And you go, I don't know. And I go, I don't know. And it is quite clear that his life over there is increasingly empty. And I've read the stories from Radar Online, and an increasing number of stories are in the American press. And it is logical. It stands to reason that this guy, who once had a full life in Britain as a working frontline royal, very popular royal as well, a very full life, loved his British life, loved his mates, loved going to the pub, loved playing polo, his sports, and of course working as a very popular member of the royal family. All of that he has lost. He hoped when they went to America, 6-7 years ago, to replace that with a very full life in the land of opportunity in wonderful America. But that hasn't worked out. And according to reports, and as I say, it stacks up to me. According to reports, he's looking at the couples, the gruesome twosomes agenda, and it's all about her. She wants to be an actress. Of course, there's the ongoing As Ever, podcasts, you name it. Everything is about Meghan. And what you've got here is a guy who, frankly, used to be an alpha male with a busy life, very much what we call in Britain a real bloke, a bloke's bloke, reduced to playing second fiddle to this very ambitious, grasping woman who wants to get to the top. So he sees himself, according to reports, as just a sort of bit part player in her life story, and he's getting more and more upset about it. Interestingly, I think, Kinsey, is when Hollywood has rejected this couple, they've rejected them. It hasn't worked. Their movie plans, their TV plans, nothing has worked. Tinseltown has turned around and said, we don't really want to know you. Netflix has dumped them, basically. She's lost her contract. Now, interestingly about that, Meghan is perfectly able to accept that because she's a child of Hollywood. She's a California girl. She knows how it goes. So the way she sees it, we've been rejected. That didn't work. Netflix don't want to do that. What do you do in Tinseltown? You pick yourself up, you dust yourself down, and you go again. That's what you do. Harry doesn't understand that. And he has not taken the rejection that they have received from Hollywood at all well. And so he sees a plethora of projects that didn't work out. His awful polo show was a disaster. He had plans for friendships, for projects, none of which have happened. He doesn't really have any close friends over there. He is, frankly, a British ship adrift in a very foreign land, California. I know about this. You can't, you know what Margaret Thatcher said. America and Britain are two countries divided by a common language. I think that's going a bit far. I think we've all got a lot in common, Americans and Brits. But I went from London to Hollywood to California, and it's a very different place. I loved it. but it is a very different place. I think Harry thought that when he went to California, it would be like Britain, like England, only with an American accent. But it's not. And it quite clearly, America doesn't really have anything for him. There is nothing there for him. So what is he doing? He is looking back to the life he had before. He wants to go back to Britain. He wants to regain that busy, fulfilled life he had as a working royal, go for a pint with his mates, play polo, recapture the life he lost when they ran away to America. And that, quite clearly, according to more and more reports, is causing a serious strain in the marriage because, you know, Meghan, if she never came back to Britain, it would be it would be too soon. There are reports that Harry's desperate for her to attend this event in Birmingham, our second city, in July, which would be a kind of precursor to the Invictus Games in a year's time. Literally, they have a sort of pre-event 1 year before the main event. He's letting it be known, Meghan's going to stage a sensational return to Britain. I'm not so sure that's true. And don't forget that also wrapped up, I think, in Harry's increasing desire to recapture his old life is to forge a full and complete peace pact with his dad and hopefully the entire royal family. I mean, frankly, in terms of William and Catherine, good luck with that, Harry. But it is potentially the case that he could patch things up with the king because the king's a soft-hearted soul, and for all Harry's awful sins and crimes since he went to America, calling the king and the royals a bunch of racists, in fact calling all of us in Britain a bunch of racists, I know that the king would forgive and forget. William, not so much. So there's your dynamic. It's a very difficult dynamic. I don't think for a second Harry and Meghan have fallen out of love. In Harry's case, far from it. I think he remains utterly besotted by Meghan. But there are geographical and cultural difficulties. Harry is missing his old life. He's homesick. And at the very best, what he wants to do, his plan, his dream plan, is to divide his life between America and Britain, to go back to California, spend time with his kids and his wife, then go back to Britain, spend a few months performing royal duties. I think that is a long shot. But all of this quite clearly is setting up serious tension in that marriage because Meghan doesn't like Britain, doesn't like England, doesn't really want to come back. And frankly, this July trip, the newspapers over here in Britain are full of it. Meghan set for a sensational return. Frankly, Kinsey, I'll believe it when I see it.
Me too. I that is just so annoying to me that that's the route that everyone's going. And it's like, is it wishful thinking? Because I know a lot of people over there that would really prefer for her never to come back either. Meghan's such an interesting character, and I'll get back to some of those headlines in a second, but just listening to the way you talk, normally we would look at someone like Meghan, and I'm not saying she has a great work ethic, because remember with archetypes, she only popped in for the A-listers. There were one of her 17 executive producers, or one of, she just had an ungodly amount of staff on that one. And someone else would do the low profile interviews, and she would only pop on to talk to Mariah Carey or Paris Hilton. But in any other situation, I think we would almost admire her relentlessness and willingness to put herself out there. But because we know she's not a very nice person and her heart's not very nice, and because we know how she treats people behind the scenes, according to reports that she denies, I think that that's why we don't give her credit in that space. Do you have an opinion there?
Well, no, and I do have an opinion, yeah, and I agree with you. No, she's a very difficult woman, and underpinning everything that I just said, Harry is being sort of almost drawn back to his home country, almost magnetically. I mean, it's for someone like me leaving London and going to live in Los Angeles, that was quite a wrench for me, but I loved it and all that. Love America, love California, love Hollywood. But I'm not a member of the royal family. This guy was a key member of the British royal family. He is the son of King Charles, and the granddaughter, or the grandson rather, of the ex-queen. This guy's a key British figure. So for him to up stumps and just leave the country and go to America was a massive thing. Now, I think in Meghan's terms, or for Meghan, that was it. I did it. I achieved it. I hated England. I got him out. Now we're in my home country, America. Everything is sealed, signed, sealed, and delivered. But it's not. Now, Harry wanting to go back to Britain or to spend more time in Britain, I think she'll resist that with every fibre of her body. Now, what the reports, or increasing number of reports, tend to indicate is that Harry is sort of saying to her, well, why don't we split the difference and maybe go and live in that house we bought in Portugal? Well, that's not going to work for Meghan. So more and more people are suggesting that...
Why will that not work for Meghan, Kevin? Is it because she wants to be down the street from Oprah Winfrey and Katy Perry? Is it because like she wants to be seen and she wants to keep up with the Joneses?
Because, Kinsey, as you well know, it will be a cold day in hell before Meghan gives up her Hollywood dream. She wants to be a massive Hollywood star, or if not a Hollywood star, a massive American TV star. It isn't enough for her to just be the famous wife of Prince Harry. She wants to make it on her own terms and be a massive star. And going to Portugal, you know, that's it. It's over, isn't it? That would be her subjugating her life to his, as opposed to the other way around. Right now,
Which, don't forget, she promised to do when she sat down with the BBC and said, I'm going to give up acting. I've chosen to be a royal now. I've chosen this life of service. I mean, the BBC was like, are you sure? And she's like, oh, I was born to do this. Yeah, right.
Yeah, exactly. So in the dynamic of that marriage, of that relationship, Harry and Meghan, is quite clear to me. It is that he has to go along with what she wants in life, what she wants to do. And that, I think, is where the tension is coming in, because Harry clearly is getting sick and tired. Everything is all about her. To go back to what we originally discussed, what you and I talk about a couple of times a week on my show, The Political Asylum, it is always, oh, Meghan's doing this, Meghan's doing that. Oh, as ever's in trouble. Has she sold 1 million jars of jam, or can't she sell 1 million jars of jam? Is she going to do a new podcast series? Oh, look, she's making a movie. Oh, now she wants to make a documentary about Diana, and so on and so forth. This is all about her. And then the question, what about Harry? Oh, I don't know. What's he doing? He's not doing anything. He's not doing anything. Now, I'm not a massive admirer of Harry, but I'll cut him this slack. I think he's a guy. I think he's a bloke. He's a man's man. And he wants, for his self-respect, he wants to fill his life. He wants a fulfilled life. He hasn't got a fulfilled life at the moment. He's not doing anything. So will Meghan accept, potentially, as I say, she's not going to Portugal because she wants to stay near Hollywood, so she can become the next Meryl Streep. Good luck with that, Meghan. It's not going to happen, but she realises that if she's not close to Tinseltown, she's got no chance. So she's not going to go and live in Portugal. The next proposal on the table will be, will she accept Harry coming back to Britain for an increasing amount of time? That said, I mean, Harry must be in a real quandary right now because, all these stories we're seeing about, oh, Harry's close to getting a deal on his armed police protection when he comes back. Don't believe that for a second, by the way. Harry's the King's going to open the Invictus Games. The King's going to actually invite Harry and Meghan to stay with him when they come to Britain. All of this stuff. None of this is confirmed by the King or indeed Harry. But you sense that's coming out of the Sussex spin machine. That's what Harry wants to see in the papers, in the media, and therefore he hopes it will come true. So there's a problem there as well, because the King we understand, refuses, for all his soft-heartedness, he refuses to be emotionally manipulated like this. So what Harry is putting out there is, oh, my dad, the king, he's going to open the Invictus Games.
Olive Branch.
Olive Branch. Yeah, but down the line, the king may say, no, I'm not going to. I think he's very likely to say, I'm not going to do it, because it would very much upset William. And at that point, Harry can say, well, my dad has let me down. All I wanted him to do was to open the games. These games are for military heroes who've become, who've got terrible veterans' wounds and all that. And he can't even open the games. The king, we understand, is pretty annoyed at being put in that position. So both Harry classically is putting out stories, I believe, which depict his dream scenario. Meghan will allow him to come back for a couple of months a year to Britain, where he can meet his mates, drink a few beers, perform a few royal duties. The king will put him up at Clarence House and Highgrove, and then will come to the Invictus Games. All of the rift, the damage that he's done to the relationship with the royal family will be healed. Everything forgotten, forgiven, everybody's happy. Then he goes back to California, smoke a bit of weed, see his kids, see his wife. Hey, happy days. This is classic Harry. Everything he wants. Is he going to get any of that? Any of that at all? I certainly think Meghan won't be very keen on him coming back for a couple of months, 3 months on his own. And whether or not the king and the royal family will welcome him with open arms, I think is a very moot point. So it's a very pivotal point in Harry's life, I think.
Oh my gosh, I have to tell you about a total game changer, Peak's Liver Detox Protocol. You may not know it, but your liver handles a lot: energy, hormones, digestion, and even your mood. But with all the stress and toxins from everyday life, it needs some love. Forget harsh cleanses. Peak delivers gentle daily support inspired by traditional Chinese medicine. Their routine uses two simple blends. The first is a warming turmeric mix with cinnamon and black pepper, designed to help the body absorb it better and support the liver while calming inflammation. The second is a ginger and cinnamon blend that helps with blood flow, digestion, bloating, and immune support. The magic is how they work together to activate and flush for better digestion, stable energy, less brain fog, and that light, clear feeling. My energy is consistent now. Skin is clearer and less bloating. That's Peak, where spirit meets science. Redefine your standard of health, secure 20% off your order, and begin your intentional wellness journey today at peaklife.com/Kinsey. That's PIQUE life.com/Kinsey. Can we talk about motives for a second? Because you and I've spoken about two different motives, and I lean towards a more sinister motive. We read constantly that Harry's homesick, and how do you not believe it when he's caught on a Ring door cam, aimlessly, wandering the neighborhoods of London,
looking for friends,
right? looking for friends.
Yeah.
And one comment that stood out to me in this first, if I ever get to it, Radar article, was that Harry has a hard time establishing new friendships here in the States. I have heard that from people that are close to Meghan, that Meghan will say, yeah, he's struggling to make new friends here. So I definitely believe that. We talk about Harry being homesick and just wanting to be back with his mates and just wanting to go to a pub and enjoying his old life. But I also see in where was it? Colombia. Where else did they go?
Nigeria.
Nigeria.
Yeah.
Colombia, Nigeria. Harry going to Canada around Remembrance Day. What I see is somebody that's trying to force the half in, half out that Queen Elizabeth said was absolutely not, not going to work. And so sometimes I think to myself, is he really desperate for the UK because he's homesick and we should feel sorry for Harry, who always is conveniently the victim? Or is it something, sinister is too aggressive of a word, but is he trying to make life complicated for Prince William, who, if you read Spare, Harry seems to really hate? There is some beyond resentment. Harry is so angry with his brother And I think that he does try to make Prince William's life more difficult. And so I don't know if I completely buy the homesick Harry as much as I think that Harry wants to prove something to his older brother.
I think that's a really good point. And I think that the level of bitterness that Harry feels towards William is off the scale. They talk about, oh, well, it's because Meghan and Catherine, Princess of Wales, fell out during the lead up to Harry and Meghan's wedding. They talk about the fact that Harry and William argued about Meghan. Williams expressed doubts about whether or not she was the right woman. They had fights and so on and so forth. But I think underlying all of that is, the whole title of that book, Spare. Harry will always be furious that he's the number two, that he was never heir to the throne. So what annoys Harry about...
So will Meghan.
Yeah, especially. But what annoys Harry, what will always annoy Harry, is that he wasn't the firstborn. And it's kind of weird, that he lives in the royal world and refuses to accept primogeniture, which is at the heart of the royal ethos. Royalty is all about the heirs to the throne. It's a strict system. The firstborn inherits the throne. The secondborn doesn't. And the secondborn tends to fall down the charts, if you like, when the firstborn starts having children. And Harry hates that. Meghan doesn't understand it. And Meghan thinks you can maybe change the rules and push Harry up the ladder, but you can't. But Harry cannot accept it. He cannot accept it. So that means, I think, that the idea that William will ever heal the rift with Harry, or the other way around, is a long shot. And William, who I think William, I don't know them, but I think William, you can sort of sense he's a nicer guy than Harry. He's less screwed up. He's less bitter. And I think he's done his best to have a decent relationship with his brother. But he reached that point where he just thought, you know what, that's it. I can't carry on with this. And as such, but William is also famously extremely stubborn and extremely strong-willed. I don't say that as a criticism. I think these are very good traits for a future king. He's an intelligent man. He's the cleverest man in the royal family by a mile. I think he's a nice guy, but he's a very determined and strong guy. And he came to the point with Harry, which is thought, I just can't be doing with this guy anymore. And when you then factor in that Harry went round sort of basically saying that Catherine was a racist and that the royal family racists, and that William was a SOB and so on and so forth. William, as I say, he's got that stubborn streak, and he does, unlike his dad, he does not forgive easily. So when Harry goes round placing these stories about, oh, the king's about to forgive me. Oh, yeah, the king's going to put me up when I come back. I'm going to come back for 2 weeks a year, 2 months a year, perform royal duties, just like I always wanted to. Oh, the king's going to open the Invictus Games. Yes, happy families again. I'll tell you why I'm very doubtful about all of that, is because while I think the king would love to heal the rift with Harry, he is loath to upset William. And in royal circles, you really do have to look after the heir to the throne. And so Charles knows that if he welcomes Harry back with open arms, as we've discussed, William will not like it. In fact, William will not tolerate it. So I suspect that all of Harry's grand plans about rapprochement and reconciliation and the Invictus Games and bringing Meghan back in July, I suspect they might come to nothing. Put it this way, Kinsey, you and I, royal watchers and all that, you've got to watch very carefully what happens in July. Is Meghan coming back or is she not? And furthermore, is the British government really going to finally give Harry the gun guards, the police gun guards he demands. They spent 2 years, the British government, but by the way, don't forget, that's Harry's father's government. That is King Charles's government. So this legal battle with the government has been really embarrassing for Charles, his son's battle with the government. Now, that notwithstanding, the British government has spent more than 2 years fighting Harry every step of the way in the courts, spending a lot of taxpayers' money to defend their case. Their case being, we do give armed police protection, automatic armed police protection to some frontline working royal family members here, but we certainly do not spend taxpayers' money giving automatic protection, gun guard protection, to a guy who is not a working royal and who lives 7,000 miles away on the west coast of America. So why would the government spend 2.5 years fighting that case, hiring lawyers, going to court, spending a hell of a lot of money and time? Why would they do that and then suddenly go, you know what, we changed our minds, we're going to give him that gun guard anyway? This is Harry spinning. So if he does not get those gun guards, the police gun guard automatic protection he demands, then all of this comes to nothing, doesn't it? It means Meghan won't come back. She's made it clear that her priority, if she ever does return to Britain, is security. If there's no gun guard, she won't come back. So
which is just so stupid, because we all know that if Meghan and Harry put the kids on a private plane and went over to the UK, they would assess the threat, but they'd likely give them armed security again on this case by case situation that he currently has. It's just all their manipulative spin on everything. But you make such a good point, and this is to a point you made earlier too. Harry and Meghan don't understand royal protocol. They clearly don't respect royal protocol. Harry doesn't understand why William gets things that he doesn't, that he's not offered. Right.
Yeah.
Except they demand to be treated like royals. They still want the perks while they disrespect and disparage. I mean, go watch the Harry and Meghan Netflix series, their only commercial success, where they talk about what racists the royal family, history has, and how racist the royal family is through experts, through a variety of different experts. But it's like they want the security, they want the perks, they want you to announce the Duchess of Sussex when you're alone in a brownstone in New York City. But she wants Duchess of Sussex slapped across magazine covers. But they truly have no respect for the institution or the traditions and the history that comes with the perks that they demand.
Yeah, and that's what Harry always calls it, isn't it? The institution, with contempt in his voice. And he says the institution needs reform. It's the royals, it's the royal family. You don't reform royal families. They go back centuries. It's a joke. Look at Harry's life, as we've discussed, Kinsey. It's empty. He's not doing anything. There's nothing in it. There's nothing in his life. So what has he got? What has this guy got? He's got one thing to kind of cherish and embrace and say, this is what I've got. It's status. So this gun guard...
Such a good point, Kev.
This gun guard thing is all about status. He knows if he took the kids back, if he took Meghan back, they'd almost certainly, by request, get gun guards. That's not good enough for him. By trip, he can get gun guards. He wants automatic police gun guard protection when he comes back. Why? For his own safety? For his family's safety? No. He wants it because William gets it. Because William gets automatic gun police guard protection, and he wants the same as his brother. Now, funny enough, not that many members of the royal family actually get this. I believe Princess Anne does, and obviously the King and Queen Camilla get it. Harry used to get it because he's such a popular focal figure, but he doesn't anymore. He wants it back for, it's not for his own safety, it's not for his family's safety, it's because it is a sign of his status. And that is another reason why, interestingly, Meghan doesn't want this rift between the gruesome twosome in Montecito and the British royal family to get too deep, because she knows that when William becomes king, she will not be the Duchess of Sussex anymore unless she plays her cards right. I think William will swim the axe pretty soon, pretty swiftly, and she will become Mrs. Sussex or Mrs. Markle or whatever the hell she wants to call herself.
She should be Meghan Mountbatten Windsor, but they're going to refuse that now that Andrew has dirtied it up with his Epstein antics. As a royal reporter, I'm always digging into international stories, but nothing's more frustrating than hitting content blocks online. That's where ExpressVPN comes in, a virtual private network that creates a secure tunnel for your online activity, keeping it private and safe. For unblocking, it lets you change your online location to any of 105 countries. I use it to access the UK and global libraries. I recently watched my latest Meghan Markle documentary on Channel 5 thanks to ExpressVPN. No more missing out. Privacy-wise, it hides my browsing from ISPs who sell our data, crucial when researching sensitive topics. And on public Wi-Fi during travel, its encryption protects my logins. ExpressVPN's the best. Fastest speeds, no log servers audited by PwC, connects up to 14 devices. New tiered plans start at $3.49 a month. That's just 12 cents a day. Find out how you can get up to 4 extra months by clicking the link in the description box below. expressvpn.com/Kinsey. That's expressvpn.com/Kinsey. You mentioned security. There is a report that I sent you about how there's been an increase in stalkers for the British royal family since Harry and Meghan. And, I'll read some of the stats for you. Files on a total of 536 stalkers were recently passed from the Met Police Royal Protection Group for investigation by Britain's Specialist Fixated Threat Assessment Center. 19 of the stalkers probed were ruled to be of high concern, while 254 were ruled to be of moderate threat to the royals. My issue with these reports, which were obtained through government requests by this outlet, is that I don't think we talk enough about how Harry and Meghan's reckless accusations have increased threats and harassment towards the working royals. I mean, do you truly believe that Catherine would have been hounded the way that she was during those few months where we did not know she had cancer? We just knew she was going in for a surgery. She disappears for a significant amount of time. The internet was so vile. I see horrible things written about the Wales children on X. I think that we should make more of a point to discuss how Harry and Meghan's actions have negatively affected and likely increased threats towards the working British royal family. And I don't think we talk about that enough.
I think it's a good point. I mean, it's because of Harry and Meghan's approach to PR, public relations. It's a very aggressive approach. It's divisive. It's, are you on our side or are you on King Charles's side? Are you on our side or are you on William's side? Now, that kind of approach is divisive. And the Sussex squad, these manic supporters of Meghan and indeed Harry, I wouldn't, besmirch all of them by any means. Most of them are just sort of, I'm sure, decent people who, in my view, have got it all wrong. They think Harry and Meghan are wonderful people. I don't think they are, but they're entitled to get things wrong. Some of them of the Sussex squad are kind of mad. I mean, they are.
Well, Harry would agree with you because this is the report that he submitted to Ravik to get them to reassess his case. He said that one fan of his, who is a member of the Sussex squad, post pictures with him at Invictus and other events, approached him twice and he accused her of being some dangerous stalker. So yes, this is coming from Harry too.
Yeah, well, yeah, and as I say, the formation of the Sussex squad was because Harry and Meghan, I think, pretty deliberately set up this kind of two teams system. You know, a divided universe. Are you on our side, or are you on William's side? And that will tend to create these extremely, these kind of royal extremists who take their devotion to Harry and Meghan to extremes, and it becomes a sort of stalking thing. They potentially pose a danger to people, to William and to the King, and indeed the Sussexes themselves. So this aggressive approach to publicity is bound to create these people who take an interest in the royal family, an interest in Harry and Meghan, to outlandish extremes where it becomes an obsession, and then these people can become dangerous. When you talk about this list of hundreds and hundreds of potential royal stalkers, I'll guarantee you most of them are pretty harmless people. Who get up at 4 a.m. to go and stand outside Sandringham, the church, on Boxing Day, when it's pouring with rain or snowing or something. Their sort of obsession with the royal family to most of us seems a little unusual, but they're not. They're harmless people, but some of them, that obsession spills over into a dangerous fixation.
Yeah, I mean, like whoever broke into Kensington Palace over the holiday twice. I think, like there's a recent example right there.
And but Harry going, oh look, I got this stalker. All members of the royal family have got stalkers. The King and the Queen have got stalkers. William and Kate have got quite a hatful of stalkers. That's the way it goes in royal circles. It's like being a big Hollywood star, or even a smaller Hollywood star, a TV star. Famous people get stalkers. I mean, you wouldn't believe it, but I've had a couple. That's how low down the fame ladder the stalking syndrome can go. And when you're being stalked, it's quite alarming, to say the least. The person who stalked me was like this 80-year-old woman. It's like, leave me alone. But seriously, stalking is a problem. Now, Harry has basically gone, oh, look, I've got this stalker, so therefore you've got to give me a gun guard, as if he's the only one who ever got a stalker. This is part of
and also my point in bringing this up to you is that Harry and Meghan, we just watched them sit down with Gayle King over Zoom to talk about protecting children online and online bullies. And you're just thinking, but you are allegedly bullies in the real world. I would argue that I've witnessed them be bullies to the British royal family in the form of the Oprah Winfrey interview where they made allegations that they later backtracked, and their bullying is having real world consequences on the working royals.
I think that's true. As I say, I think that the royal landscape has been dramatically changed and made more dangerous, more harsh by the Sussexes' extraordinarily aggressive approach to publicity. I mean, William and Kate can't do a damn thing without Meghan immediately responding. Do you know what I mean? With some,
yes,
PR initiative that you'll see in page 6 of the New York Post or Us Weekly or one of the
People Magazine.
Now, this sets up a kind of, it looks like a transatlantic feud, and in some ways it is. Now, when the public perceive a feud, what we call in the press, we tend to call a furious feud, they get involved, and they want to become part of Team Sussex or part of Team Wills, part of Team Catherine. So there is a responsibility about when you're famous generally, but certainly when you're famous in royal terms, to try to handle publicity responsibly. And I think it's a fair allegation that Harry and Meghan certainly do not handle publicity responsibly. For them, it is a game of throwing grenades. And if they see the royal family did something on this side of the Atlantic in London, they'll do something to try and grab the headlines. That, when the public see that, this kind of ongoing transatlantic bun fight, they get involved, and the more extreme stalker wannabes become stalkers.
That's a great point. Before I let you go, let's read some of the actual quotes from the divorce stories that are circulating, because I did tease that and I don't want to let anybody Betty down. Radar Online says Prince Harry is now so deeply unhappy in California, he's intent on quitting his life in the United States, with sources telling Radar he's now homesick. A lost Duke who feels stalled, isolated, and desperate to reclaim a sense of purpose away from Hollywood and the massive cold shoulder it's given him. They've talked about how he struggles to find friends and how he's increasingly preoccupied with returning to Europe or relocating elsewhere. One source said Harry has reached a breaking point with life in California and has been blunt with Meghan. Blunt with Meghan, lol. Because blunts are also pot. That he no longer sees a future for himself there. He feels profoundly unhappy and directionless, frustrated that the professional opportunities he'd hoped for would materialize never truly did. I mean, we do kind of joke about, like, okay, what's going on with Better Up? You lost Senabale. You are quiet when it comes to African Parks charity due to all of the scandal that they are plagued by. Maybe he's thrusting all this Invictus stuff at us to prove that he does something sometimes, Kev.
Yeah, very much so. As I say, this is a guy, who used to have a very full and fulfilled life. Now he doesn't. And the way Radar Online put it is, or that quote, I mean, I think that does sum it up. America for him, his American dream, Harry's American dream has turned into a nightmare of disappointment. It's quite clear he's struggled to find friends. I mean, you never hear of him hanging out with anyone. Do you remember, what was it?
Wait, but I almost put the story in here, but it was so silly that I didn't. Can I tell you that they say he's envious of Prince William's reach in the celebrity space because Harry's like, I live in Hollywood. I should have these types of contacts through my charity initiatives. Yeah. And they say that he's been on the phone with J-Lo recently, trying to recruit J-Lo to do some charity stuff with him. Where do you stand? Do you buy that? I thought it was so silly. I didn't trust it. But at the same time, I'm like, he is pretty desperate.
I think he would like celebrity contact. He'd like to be seen as a part of the Hollywood firmament, if you see what I mean, hanging out with A-list stars.
The throwback to the Kardashian pictures.
Yeah, exactly right. And it's not happening because, when they first went to California, Hollywood was intrigued. A lot of A-list stars kind of, said, "Oh yeah, let's take a look at this couple." Hollywood now doesn't want to know. There's a toxic element to this couple, and so Harry, as the Radar Online insider said, just feels isolated. There's nothing worse than not having any friends and not having anything to do. That is his life. He doesn't have any mates, doesn't have anything to do. So what can he do? He just looks backwards, yearns for the life he used to have. And, people are talking about, the potential 26 is going to be a make or break year for Meghan and Harry, for the Sussexes.
Oh my gosh, we've said that every year since 2021.
Exactly. You see, but I mean, it could, look, what I'm trying to say, Kinsey, is I'm reticent to gather around this talk of divorce. I think the position that those two are in right now is they are desperately, or Harry is desperately trying to work out a kind of half and half life, some kind of life that will give him a sense of purpose. He can go back, he won't need friends in America if he can go back see his friends in Britain. And if they can reach an arrangement, then happy days. I think it's taking things too far to say that Harry, will, if necessary, he'll just leave Meghan. because
No, 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 no.
he is besotted with that woman. I don't think well, he may, more likely she'll leave him at some point, but I doubt
Right.
whether
And
he'll.
you've lived in Hollywood, it's the 10-year mark. That's when Tom Cruise, like on the 364th day, that was inching him towards 10 years with Nicole Kidman.
Mhm.
That's when he filed for divorce so that he wouldn't owe her
Yeah,
a significant amount more. In the
yeah,
state of California, there's something about that 10-year mark. And
yeah.
I believe you're right. I mean, I am repeating some of the tabloids that I'm reading here, but I feel like they need to be together at least 10 years for either one of them to get what they need out of the other.
Put it this way, Kinsey. I do believe that relationship in the end will kind of hit a brick wall. That divided lives, different people. In the end, I don't think they'll be married forever. I think there will be a divorce way down the line, and it will be. But here's my point: it will be initiated not by him, by
Oh,
her. I don't think
agreed.
he'll ever do that. But that said, I think it's pretty clear there's a lot of tension in that relationship because, as we discussed at the beginning of this conversation, he wants to spend more and more time in Britain. He definitely wants to bring the kids back as much as possible. He wants his father to have a relationship with his grandchildren, and Meghan just is not very keen on that. So the
But when we read quotes like Megan's instinct is to shield both herself and the children from experiences she worries could reopen painful chapters. I don't want to be insensitive, but there were maybe two inappropriate headlines about Meghan Markle. And actually, I feel confident in saying that because we get the same. Meghan constantly brings up those headlines, and it's the same two examples straight out of Compton,
yeah.
whatever the other one was. Why is she truly so insensitive, or is she truly so insecure that she considers a couple of headlines and Prince William trying to hold her accountable for aggressive behavior as painful chapters? To me, this is a weak woman who just cuts and runs when things don't go her way. And when I listen to quotes about her and not wanting to revisit painful chapters, like your entire brand identity on at As Ever is tea parties and British culture. She talks about she posting the other day on Instagram how she's going to put a spot of tea on or something,
Yeah, yeah,
hijacking your terminology and hijacking Christmas crackers on her holiday special. Like I just have a hard time believing that these chapters were so painful that she doesn't want to bring her children over. The British media will be incredibly kind and considerate to her children. And I don't, a couple of racist headlines, I just don't think that her children will have to face anything remotely similar. And I also don't think that those headlines justify her actions
yeah.
in fleeing the British royal family.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, for most of her time in Britain, the media, the newspapers in particular, absolutely loved her. They loved her. The people of Britain loved her. She had a couple of negative headlines, but by and large, in terms of the media, she was eulogized. Everybody celebrated. Everybody loved her. Oh, marvelous Meghan and all that. But here's the deal. What is interesting, the reason I think she classifies her time in Britain as incredibly painful is because of this, and this is why Meghan and Harry going forward, I think, will encounter marital problems in the end, particularly in view of what we've been discussing. The reason Meghan looks back on her time in Britain as incredibly painful was because she found herself in the royal family. No member of the royal family, the British royal family, gets everything they want. You've got to play the game. You've got to do quite a few things you don't want to do. I mean, a lot of their lives are so boring, opening libraries, sitting there listening to dreary speeches and so on and so forth. And what she didn't like was that she was not able to call the shots about every aspect of her life. She views it as incredibly painful if she doesn't get her own way just once, let alone twice. And that's why I think, you know, her time in Britain, everybody loved her. So when she says so painful, that's because the royal family, members of the staff, started to call her out and just say, wait a minute, you know, maybe this woman is potentially allegedly bullying staff, and the Queen orders an investigation. And so when she sees that negative stuff about her, she overreacts. All of us have to accept that we can't get everything we want. In Meghan's world, Meghan just thinks she ought to get everything that she wants, and if she doesn't, if she gets 2% she doesn't want, then she says that's incredibly painful. So the problem for Harry in this kind of compromise that he clearly wants to work out is, you know, can I spend a couple of months back in Britain? You know, can I take the kids back for a couple of months? Can I do some royal duties? You know, let's go and meet the king a bit more. The problem with that, in terms of their marriage, is I don't think Meghan will want that. And Meghan doesn't do what she doesn't want. And if she does get to be made to do what she doesn't want, she starts sort of unraveling and calling it incredibly painful. So going forward,
and racist.
Yeah. And by the way, the very insulting and unfair headline about her being straight out of Compton. Everybody in California and Los Angeles understands that. The joke about that was in Britain. No one knew what it meant.
Right.
It was a very American kind of insult. She didn't deserve that, by the way. That was not fair. That was racist. However, that was one of the very, very few negative headlines she got while she was in Britain. She had no reason to call her time here painful. But as I say, she calls it painful, not because it was a 24/7 living hell, but because every now and again, very rarely, she didn't get exactly what she wanted, and therefore
that's right. And what Meghan wants, Meghan gets.
Yeah, exactly right.
Agree with us, disagree with us, let us know in the comments below. Make sure you like, subscribe, and share this video with a friend, and head over to talk and watch Kevin O'Sullivan and I on the political asylum. Thanks everyone so much for watching, and we look forward to seeing you again next time.